Welcome back to the channel, guys. Let's get straight into today's story. If you've ever wondered why so many people think British politics has lost its backbone, look at how the country treats its veterans, and look at the choices being made at the very top. Because right now, a growing number of veterans and their supporters believe Keir Starmer's government is willing to wrap itself in rights language while leaving the people who serve this country exposed, dragged through courts and treated like a political problem to manage rather than citizens to defend. The argument isn't that veterans should be above the law. The argument is simpler than that. Britain has created a system where elderly former soldiers can face endless legal harassment over events decades old, while the state dithers, hides behind the process and offers reassurance instead of hard protection. And the reason this story matters is because Starmer isn't a natural bystander here. Labour has been essential to the push to undergo legal frameworks that some believe were designed to draw a line under this era. The flashpoint is Northern Ireland legacy prosecutions, the long bitter fallout of the Troubles. The previous Conservative government brought in the Northern Ireland Legacy Act, which was hugely controversial and challenged in court, but it was presented by its supporters as a way to stop endless prosecutions against veterans. Labour's position has been to overhaul or repeal that approach, and Starmer has publicly defended that direction, arguing the Legacy Act lacked support in Northern Ireland. Now here's where people get angry, because when you tell veterans we're changing the law again, what they hear is not justice, they hear you'll be the safe target. They fear a one-way process where soldiers are easier to pursue than terrorists. Because state records exist, chains of command exist, evidence standards differ, and political incentives don't run the same way. And those fears are not fringe. They've been very loud enough that even Labour's own appointed Northern Ireland Veterans Commissioner has reportedly warned the government it's treating veterans worse than terrorists. That is an extraordinary thing to have coming from inside the system, and it tells you this isn't just partisan noise. When your own Veterans Commissioner is effectively saying this is unfair and corrosive, that's a warning flare, because the damage isn't just those individual men, it's to morale, recruitment and national confidence. Who joins an institution if they believe the country will abandon them when the politics shift? Now, defenders of Starmer will say, hold on, Labour wants a bigger legacy process, not a witch hunt. They'll point to claims that the old law halted investigations into the killings of British soldiers too, and that families of servicemen deserve truth as well. That argument has been used as part of Labour's justification for changing course. But here's the problem. Even if you accept that the legacy system needs reform, you still have to answer one basic question. Where is the hard guarantee that veterans won't be subjected to endless legal pursuit without new evidence? Starmer has offered reassurance in public messaging that veterans won't be unfairly targeted under the new approach. But for many veterans, words are cheap. They've heard soothing lines before. They want legal certainty, not vibes. And this is where Starmer's wider political identity comes into it. He's a lawyer by background. His government contains prominent figures associated with human rights legal culture. And critics believe the worldview instinctively prioritised process and litigation over national loyalty and moral clarity. You can see the mentality in how Labour figures defend the role of international legal frameworks and courts as moral arbiters of policy. Now, you might hear people say, but Labour supports veterans. Yes, on paper. Labour talks about mental health, support, housing, employment and practical help for veterans, and those are not meaningless. But let's be blunt, mental health support is not the same as defending someone from being hauled into court at the end of their life. Housing policy is not the same as legal protection. A government can hand out support programs while still allowing the legal machine to grind veterans down. That's why critics say Starmer refuses to defend veterans. Because to them, defending veterans means drawing a firm line. No repeat investigations without compelling new evidence. No fishing expeditions, no endless process used as punishment. It means treating service as something the state stands behind, not something it distances itself from the moment it becomes politically inconvenient. And people notice the contrast. They see how quickly the political class mobilises language above rights and international norms, but how cautiously it speaks about protecting soldiers who acted under orders in chaotic conditions decades ago. They'll see endless sympathy for abstract causes, but a cold managerial tone when it comes to veterans. We're reviewing, we're consulting, we're balancing. That language sounds like avoidance. What makes this bigger than one bill is what signals about the country. A nation that cannot defend its own veterans cannot credibly defend anything. If service is followed by legal peril, the social contract breaks. The state asks for loyalty, risk and sacrifice, then offers ambiguity and distance when the politics turn hostile. And this is why the issue is so combustible. It's not about rewriting history, it's about whether the state has a duty to protect those it sent into conflict. Not from accountability, but from being used as symbols in a forever war of lawyers, campaigns and political bargaining. So when people ask, why won't Starmer defend British veterans? The answer, in the eyes of his critic, is simple. Because Labour's instincts are institutional and legalistic. Because the party's priority is appeasing the process, not the backing the people who carried out the state's decisions. Because being respectable in elite circles matters more than being unflinching about who Britain should stand behind. And until that changes, this won't go away, because veterans are not a niche issue. They are a test of whether Britain still honours duty, or whether it treats duty as disposable once the headlines move on. Thanks for watching, guys. If you want more honest political commentary and don't want to miss what's really happening behind the headlines, hit that subscribe button and drop your thoughts in the comments below.